Welcome, Taisha, to
Hi, my love.
KamaKast. Thank you so much for coming here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So, would you mind just giving a brief introduction to our audience on who you are, what you've done? Anything you'd like to start with?
So I'm Taisha Monique. They call me now Mama T in the dance world, as far as choreography and instructing. And God, I've been doing this for a very long time. As you know, I've been dancing and doing the whole professional dance thing. I did that for a good 15 or so years, dating myself. But started when I was
You
a
don't
mere
look it.
baby.
All right. So, it's fine.
And I had an amazing career as a professional dancer, and I am now blessed to be able to pursue acting, that journey, as well as still, being able to do one of my passions, which is dance, now teaching and doing choreography. So, I've just been an all-around like entertainer and performer and storyteller my whole life. Growing up in a small town to where I am now, it's always been like, she's different. Like
Yeah.
I just didn't quite feel like I fit in, but then also I did fit in growing up. So I knew that I was like, once I had a chance to do the things that I had wanted to do my whole teen years, that, people kind of thought I was a little crazy to want to do, that I was going to go and do it. So I don't know.
Yeah, and then you did do it. You
I
say this
did.
little career, like you just did this little thing, but let's be okay. I'm name dropping right now. So
if you a must.
So what you said is that you grew up in a small town, New Hampshire, correct?
Yes.
And so
Shout out Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
there you go. And so you have been on the biggest stages dancing in the world. Name dropping right now is Missy Elliott, Shakira, Snoop, Miley. What did watching those artists?
You forgot Snoop Dogg,
but Snoop. Well, everybody knows what Snoop. Snoop
No,
Dogg.
just kidding,
I'm
just
pretending
kidding,
like I
just
know
kidding.
him like that. But no.
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg. Okay.
That was a special tour, though. That's the only reason.
Oh.
It was fun. Good times.
Okay,
Anyways, but go
yes.
ahead.
No, I'm excited to hear about it. This is where I'm going. So what did watching those artists up close teach you about the connection between movement, power, and presence? Because like they all have very different styles, right? And what did that transition teach you about what it actually takes to succeed in the entertainment industry?
Well, I definitely think that musicians, artists, singers, actors, that was always something that I gravitated towards as even a kid. Like I said, I always wanted to be entertaining, and I think I always wanted to be entertained as well. And I was good in school and I did all the things that I had to do, but I always felt like seeing artists, like Missy Elliott growing up, and Janet Jackson, and obviously Michael, and Aaliyah, and like just all different kinds of artists. And then also growing up where I did in New Hampshire, I was, I had a lot of different kinds of music that I was exposed to as well and loved. So like even alternative music, and, and then, hip hop, of course. And then I was a ballerina. So as I was a ballerina, I loved classical music. I loved strings and anything of that nature. So I feel like all different kinds of artists appealed to me as a young, girl / teenager, because I feel like I really just wanted to be as immersed in all of it as possible. I think it was foreshadowing to like how I feel now about dance and movement and like versatility in it, and not just being like a one note Nancy, I say, like just, one thing. So I think watching all of those different artists and their different ways that they express themselves. And like, I remember first time watching Missy Elliott video, and I was like mind blown. I was like, wow, that is it. Like that's, and same thing with Janet Jackson. Like I just wanted to be them or behind them or near them. Like I just knew. And again, it was hard because I was in small town, Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and there wasn't very, especially back in the 90s. Yes, the 1990s. There wasn't a lot of opportunities.
Yeah.
Like,
But you
that
did get
presented
there.
itself.
So what,
Eventually,
what,
yeah.
what did that teach you? Like, how did you?
Tenacity. It taught me like believing in myself and kind of like, I think that was the first time when, like, once I graduated, obviously I had to, wait it out. I had to go to school and, everybody graduate. But as soon as that, I got a chance, I was 18 years old, and I took that Greyhound bus, 6 hours from Boston to New York by myself and got off at Port Authority. I remember standing there looking at that big ass map with all the colors of the trains, and I was just like, all right, you gotta grow up now.
That's amazing.
Time to grow up. And so I think, I feel like I knew that even in high school, my senior like little quote was to be a famous dancer. Like I knew that I was gonna at least try.
Yeah.
And I felt like New York was the closest place to me that allowed me to like not be so far from home, because I really loved like the idea and the thought of LA, Los Angeles coming here. But I was still a baby,
Yeah.
I was like, ooh. But I found, a home in New York, and it was tough. It was very tough. I just, again, dating myself, but I was there for September 11th. So 5 days in, I had just gotten there. Yeah. So for me, my whole world, not only did that experience going to New York on my own and, whatever, it grew me up even faster because I was there for 5 days, experienced that. And I didn't have a home to go home to because I was staying in Brooklyn. I didn't have like the dorms yet at my school. So I literally like, I laugh about myself now because, I'm just like, wow, I was really out there, like just thugging it out. Didn't know nobody really. I had like 4 friends from class that, we had been to school now at that point 2 or 3 days. It was like the 3rd day of classes.
Wow.
My 5th or 6th day in the actual city.
Oh my
and
goodness.
It was the 11th. And I was in modern dance class, Martha Graham. And yeah. And
whoa. That's insane.
Yeah. I haven't really talked about that ever.
I
but
mean, you should. I'm already interested if I want to go more into that.
But we could be, that's a whole different podcast probably.
Yeah. Please
send
you can me that podcast whenever you make it.
Yeah. No, definitely that's a whole story. But I will say that, like you say, like how like that kind of pushed me to kind of have tough skin, have tenacity, have, just the belief in myself, because I could have gone home. So many people went home, especially after that. Like there was a whole bunch of people that were my like acquaintances in those first few days that I never saw again. Yeah. So then my mother was like, so when are you coming home? And I was like, oh, I think I'm going to stick it out. Like, I just felt like I needed to. So it made me a little bit stronger and resilient.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, especially like as a young woman, right? Because the entertainment industry has complicated relationship with women and their bodies. And it seems like, or what you just said, is that you've been doing it since a very young age. And, the industry celebrates them, commodifies them, and they also like dispose them, right?
Yeah.
And as someone who's been in that world for as long as you have, like, what's your take on that?
Yeah, it's tough because things have changed a lot, but they also, from what I'm hearing, they haven't changed that much. Right. I think people are obviously, shout out to Gen Z though, because they not letting anything slip. The cancel culture, though I don't like always rock with it, I understand certain people like got away with a lot of things, And again, that's a whole different podcast because the amount of, but I will try to, like, in a general statement, I will say that you've got to have like really good people around you. You got to really try to sift out the people who you think are rooting for you or you think are there for you, because those people will put you in compromising positions to better themselves. And as a woman, yeah, there's been many a video set, you know, especially for male artists. You know, I just have to say it happens more often in that environment, where you just kind of, and especially back in the early to mid 2000s when I was dancing for, you know, some of the biggest artists like you mentioned, but I also had to make rent. So there were times where I danced for, oh gosh, Nitty, what's his name? I don't even know the man. You know what I mean? These
Not
people
worth
that's
it.
like maybe one hit, one if not even a wonder, maybe it was just a
one
a
hit.
one hit. It might have just been one, if you know what I mean. So it's like those sets being talked to like you're like, you know, cattle or whatever. Like we already dancers have been unfortunately the bottom kind of the barrel and when it comes to like treatment. And that's what I know they're trying to fix. But it's like on movies. I've done TV shows, I've done videos, and it's kind of all the same. And depending, like I said, on the artist and the demographic on the set, it can be very, very hard to, you know, just keep your peace. So like I always would find somebody. I mean, I did the tour I did with Snoop Dogg. There was actually the artist that I was dancing for. He had a whole bunch of guys on a tour bus, and it was like 2-3 of us girl dancers. Oh, wow. And it was just so you had to kind of like I was really good friends with the makeup artist and the you know, hair girl, because they were two women that I could just like be cool with when there was 15 guys around, you know, and I'm 20 years old and trying to navigate my first time, like, you know, and being in LA. It's hard. It's hard. Yeah. So I would say just making sure that you have like some good people around you, that somebody that you can trust, in a good, like grounded, like, I mean, if it's faith, of course, like for me, God was everything, but whatever it is for you, that you like hone in on that, you know, and just like, don't let the trendy popular things make you feel like you have to do something that's out of character for you know?
I hear that. I mean, I can relate in the sense that I grew up modeling, and so doing that was like very jarring. Yeah. Especially going from kid modeling to like adult modeling. It's very different.
I can imagine like that adolescence ages and how people
like,
look and treat you differently. Yeah.
And it's just like, wait, I'm on set, but I'm being like I did before, but now it's like everyone's like huddling around me or like saying these things, or, you know, it's very odd. And so I can relate in the sense of like being in that room, especially with male artists and things like that, which I've done as well. And it's like, you really have to put a shield up and you really have to like protect yourself.
Yeah, you got to.
But the one thing that I want to celebrate you on is that you've been able to like keep that joy and that motivation throughout your career. And you've already talked about like, you know, maybe religion or keeping people close to you. Is there anything else, like any types of like experiences that like shaped how you came to be and like why you want to like be in the area that you're at now?
I feel like, oh God, a lot. And like kind of going back to what we were speaking on before, like the industry and being in it so young, which I didn't realize. I just wanted again, I came from a small town, small place. Like I just wanted the superstardom, the glitz, the glamour. I thought like backup dancers were so cool. Like at the time, I didn't want to be like the superstar. I just wanted to like dance. And I just was so happy to be able to do that. And once I got one of my dream jobs, I realized
which
was Missy Elliott.
Yes.
I just realized that it's not all what you think it is, and there's like smoke and mirrors, and there's people don't always have your best interests, and they don't always speak to you in a way that's respectful or that is uplifting, and you're grown at that age, but you're also not. Now that I am grown, 5 years later. No, I can look back and be like, oh gosh, like I almost like feel sad for myself back then. Like I almost like I just want to give her a hug and be like, just stay strong, girl. Like don't don't buckle. There's going to be so many things that are presented to you that are going to make it seem like, ooh, you want to take this, you want to do this because you've always wanted this life per se. But as you keep growing in this industry, you'll see that this life is not what you want. And that's where obviously where I'm at now. I've gotten to, I'm like, oh, wow, that's so crazy that was my main focus for a while. It's just, you didn't know until you know.
Was there like a moment or like a experience where you were just like, oh, I don't want this anymore. I want to do something else?
Well, dance wise, I loved everything like I was doing. I accomplished so much, and I think that's what it was. Is I was like getting to a point, and it's not to like sound like toot my own horn, but it's getting to a point where I like felt like, well, I've already done a few TV shows and films because I had those goals. At first, like some people's goal is like they want to do the tours, and I was blessed to be able to have that be one of my first big things was the Missy Elliott tour. So I got to go out of the country for the first time, to Japan and Tokyo. And that was like one of the first places I ever went out of the country. And like, who does that? At 20 years old, 21 years old. So it was beautiful, like, to have those experiences and, and really like experience the world at that age. But I feel like, I don't know, I feel like you have to really like balance that. And I didn't know, I was kind of like caught up in all the stuff. And like, I didn't realize that there's another side to it until, I feel like it was one of my first, like, maybe not first rehearsals, probably like later on in like the first week of rehearsals for Missy Elliott. I just remember being like feeling less than and not feeling like I was gonna, I even had my job kind of like threatened a bit.
Oh, no.
And I was already booked. So I'm like, what do you mean I could go home? Like, what are you talking about? So it kind of was just like,
They're like that though.
yeah.
Sad.
But that was obviously, that wasn't necessarily me not wanting to, continue it. It was just, that was a moment where I realized like, this isn't what I thought it might be. It might be a little, and from there it did get like harder as far as like just not letting things get to me. I'm a sensitive gangster. Okay.
I wouldn't say I'm a sensitive gangster, but kind of relate.
Right. And I'm like, I very, very much an empath and I feel things and I'm sensitive. So like when people would joke or kind of like make fun of me at my expense, and it would come from like the main people that you looked up to, and you're just kind of like, darn, that kind of hurts, like, So I feel like I did that for a while and endured it on and off as I, worked for her, and of course, there was beautiful experiences. So I don't negate anything from that, and I don't want anybody, would never want anybody to like think that. But I was very young, so I feel like at the end of the touring with her, I was a little older. I was like close to. It doesn't matter how old I was, just a little older. So I felt like I could stand my ground a little bit more because I had lived a lot of life in between that. I'd done my other tours with other artists and other jobs and other things. So I think it was me realizing in that moment, in that last kind of tour, that I'm like, you know what, I'm good. Like, you need to send me home, go ahead. Like, I had never thought like that before. It took me really believing in myself outside of one job, outside of one identity that I thought identified me as a person, and that I wouldn't work outside of that, and like that was it, and it's the only person that would ever want me, or it was a lot of that. And so I think once I finally got past that and realized like, oh no, you're good, girl. Like, people are gonna hire you. Yeah. And then I just kind of had like a different outlook when I did that like last tour and stuff. So I think that was when I was just kind of like, yeah. I mean, there's probably multiple moments where I realized like, okay, yeah, like I said, I did everything that I kind of wanted to do as a dancer.
That's all you can do.
Yeah, and I was just like, I feel like I've grown to a point where I want to just do another chapter, and that was for me at the time acting. I was like, bless my little naive heart. I was like, I'm just gonna switch it. I'm gonna be, it's gonna work out in the next like 5 months, and I'm gonna be a famous actor on TV.
Yeah, I hear you. I thought that was
so here we are,
acting, and it was
8 years later.
Not correct.
All right, yeah.
But
so,
it's cute.
It's fine. I loved because that's why I said I got to go back into teaching and doing choreography and making this a business for myself, so that I could pursue the acting thing at my leisure and like
absolutely,
still have something that I love that I'm able to do to make a living. So.
Okay. Well, talking about that, you do help people remember that like movement is medicine. Yeah. Right. That is like what you are teaching and what you've been pursuing. Correct. So, what did you have to unlearn about your own movement to be able to teach from that place?
Yeah, that's good. I think really like the perfection like aspect of it, because again, I came from the industry, so you weren't perfect, you are fired. Because as I was told many times, there's a dancer waiting right around the corner. They could go get that, take your place like that. So you have that drilled into your head for so many years. You start to feel like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, like, well, I have to be perfect every single time. I can't. And it's a great aspirational thought, like perfection. Now, obviously, knowing that there is no such thing and everybody's perfection is a perception and it is what it is. So it's like, I feel like I was, obviously striving for something that was kind of always unreachable. And so I think I had to remind myself that it's okay for things to not be perfect ever, but especially right away, and a process that you're in, in taking on. And so for a lot of my clients, that's what I say when they're like, oh, I don't feel like I'm doing it right or whatever. And I'm just like, perfection is not the goal right now. It's just like, get what you can from this, whether it's physicality, agility, remembering the actual move, like just take a little, and that's okay. That's enough. Yeah. And I think that's something I had to very much unlearn because I was driven into like, no, hit the step.
And that's like something that I really value because I take your dance classes. I love them.
And I didn't even tell her to say that.
I mean, this is sponsored by him. Yeah, right. But that's one thing because I actually went like years without dancing because I had a lot of like, I wouldn't say trauma, but like a lot of negative experiences in the space. Yeah. Where, a lot of bullying, these types of things, if you didn't look the right way, and people, whatever. Yeah. And I loved that in your class every single time, like when we were performing or when we were doing something or when you were teaching, you'd always be like, if you're not doing well, it's okay. Just do this a little bit sharper or just do this or just, get this goal. And it was just so uplifting and nice to hear. Like as a dancer, it was really sweet and a way to remember that dance is supposed to be fun. Yeah. And like this whole hyperfixation on being perfect is actually not really helping anybody. No.
Not so
to be grand whatsoever. To be, there are some beautiful dancers who have done very beautiful, absolutely gorgeous, stunning things.
It's nothing to take away from that, of course.
But also we all can dance. We all have the ability and it doesn't have to look like that. Yeah. Right? Exactly. So I really appreciate that about your class. I just want to say that.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that you've noted that and that you see that and that's beautiful because that's, what I want people to feel. That's why I started teaching this style, again, to empower all people, of course. But of course, striving, like, and coming from that feminine, like, powerful energy within movement. That's kind of where it started from. And I was like, you know what? I could have taught my peers. I could have, after I decided to kind of retire professionally dancing, like I could have done that, but I felt like my energy and my powers would be better used at places where women are trying to gain confidence through like movement as opposed to women who already had it. And like, I know, cause I was just in rooms auditioning with them.
Right.
So that's where I went to like exotic, you know, arts and pole and aerial arts fitness studios and kind of was like, hey, you know, this was back before the phenomenon of heels. Really, of course, the Aisha Francis Queen mother, you know, was already doing her classes, and she is the heels, you know. But I think it was before, especially on the West Side. That's where the studio was at that I was at. There wasn't anything like that, and I wasn't honestly doing heels at first. It was just like sensual movement, or I called it like video vixen class, because I wanted to bring my experiences as, well, I wasn't necessarily a video vixen per se, but I was in music videos. But that, you know, that essence of that, like baddie, bad girl, whatever, to your everyday person, your 9 to 5 or your mom, your former dancer, your whatever. And that was in 2011 or 2012 is when I first like approached the studio with that. You know, I was like, hey, I know you have pole stuff, but like, what do they do when they get off the pole? Like, then what? And she was like, I see your point. I was like, enter me. So this is what I could do, you know. And then so for me, I feel like that was kind of the start of me connecting with people who really, really needed my help.
Yeah, because it's such a power that all women or feminine presenting people have from within.
Yeah.
And it's something that I feel is suppressed through society
a lot
and
of time,
stuff.
yeah.
So it's so nice to have like an outlet like that, which I definitely want to come back to with your fun workshop. But before we do that, I do want to talk about your offerings, because you do one-on-one mentorship, small group sessions, art development, intimacy, movement coaching. My goodness. So just walk me through what those offerings are or who they're for, or what someone walks away with working with you.
Okay, yeah. So basically the like one-on-ones, mentorship, like I do that with a lot of my aspiring, professional dancers. I call them my dance babies and my daughters. And they also are assistants of mine, and people who just want a little bit more like intense, focused, like goal setting, experience, and less of just like, hey, I just want to take a private lesson with you and, you know, just dance with you. And I do have dance hobbyists that are also in my, like, under kind of more of the mentorship. That means that they stay pretty consistent. I give them like feedback when they go and take other workshops. We work on that choreography in our sessions as well, so they can go back and film their stuff and look even better. I don't reteach anybody's choreography, but I, obviously being a professional, I can see what's going on and I can learn it for them enough so that I can kind of help them out with that. So that's something that I kind of gears more towards the mentorship. The one-on-ones are just kind of a lot of people who are just more maybe dance hobbyists, and they're just kind of like here and there want to do a private lesson. There's no real, like, there's goals, of course. There's always goals, but there's no necessarily like, I would say like emphasis on a professional career. So that aspect is kind of out of it. I also obviously do, like, I work with people, like, obviously you mentioned intimacy and just sort of getting to know yourself, getting to be more comfortable with yourself, and then that and how that relates to a partner. And then also working with two people. It has that can look so many different ways, you know, obviously with, you know, the chair and the workshop there, it's really fun because it's a prop and you can use that, and you know what I mean? But there's also just like floor work and you know, stuff like that or strip tease where it's like layers of clothing comes off. And so that's fun. It's like you can play and have that be something that you and your partner like do together to just like spice it up for a night or, you know, and I think it's like really great to have couples in people that are, you know, together to experience that in a more fun way and a more free way and a less like restricted way. So it's like, yeah, like you better jump on it and give your person a little lap dance before, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, why not? So if I can teach you some things that will, you know, help expedite that, I've definitely, you know, I've taught like honeymoon dances, like, you know, a couple. Yeah.
That's sweet.
And I make sure to put the good choreography in the first 30 seconds because sometimes the people don't make it. One of my clients was like, he picked me up halfway through the second 8 count. I was like, well, girl, all that rehearsal, you better sit that man down and do it anyways. Now,
I mean,
as a coach, I'm like,
preserve yourself.
Right. But yeah, so I love that. And then of course, yeah, artist development. I work with musicians, artists, singers, actors with like movement for actors.
Cool.
I, you know, have dancers that I can put together for my artists. I have some auditions coming up for different artists that I'm, you know, doing choreography and stuff for. That was never my main goal, doing choreography for artists, but it's just kind of like coming with the way, the flow of my life now. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like if I really wanted to do that, I would be doing it.
Right.
But I think for me, it's more about quality over quantity. And I really want to teach the people that I got, you know, to like, instead of just like, oh, I want to do, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, artist development is really special to me too, because obviously I've worked for a lot of different artists and big and small, you know, I've seen them grow. I've seen artists that are just huge names already. And so I feel like stage movement, you know, movement for camera, blocking, just all of those things are kind of helpful with artists.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, that's a whole lot of something. That's
yeah.
for sure.
So there's different things that I can do within the dance movement category. You know what I mean? It's and like I'd say, I'm not just a one twerk pony now.
I mean. Well, so, speaking of that, we had kind of alluded to the fact. I was saying the twerking.
Oh,
part.
twerk. That's better. Because like
you're like, hold on. But so we kind of alluded to the fact that you do a workshop here. It's called Spicy Moves. I hear at Kama.
I love
and it explicitly is all about sensual movement, which we had talked about. And it's about like the art of tease, chair dancing, the moving the way that like captivates.
Yeah.
And so what would you say is like the difference between someone performing for someone and someone actually embodying and owning that confidence for themselves?
I feel like I've always said it's more of like introverted, intimate experience when it's you just learning movement for you. And, you know, whether you do perform it for somebody or not, great. But the intent is for you to just get more familiar with whatever movement that is or to just feel something. I mean, like you said, dance is medicine, dance is therapy. I feel like those things are, you know, go hand in hand. So for me, it's like if that's what, you know, it does for you, then like go for it, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you would say like it's the internal like expression.
Yeah, like how you're feeling in that moment rather than if I'm performing for somebody, yes, it is how I'm feeling, but I'm also kind of doing it as because I know there's a voyeur. I know there's, you know what I mean? So there's like an element where I'm now serving performance. I'm giving it more to you rather than just keeping it for myself. I think they're both valid journeys and I think people should do them both. You know, and that's why with the spicy moves, like I'll have times where, you know, with this last workshop where it was just like you in the chair, you know, rather than somebody sitting in the chair and you doing the things for that person. But of course, we did that as well.
Yes.
So
and
just
switch roles, which I love.
So just kind of giving you the voyeur aspect of it, and then the internal, intimate, introverted, like it's my thing for me aspect of it. I think those are both very like fun and important worlds to dive into, and hopefully both will come out with that like confidence and sexy feeling good, feeling, you know, about yourself regardless, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I can say it does. I've taken that class. It's awesome.
And she lives her life.
I love it. But I do want to speak on, you know, chair dancing and strip teasing, these types of things,
Yeah.
it has like a stereotype,
Oh,
right?
of course, yeah.
And so it's kind of like massively underselling like what it actually is, or it could be, because it could be the stereotype, right?
Yeah.
But it's also like, I would like
Yeah.
you to try to make a case for chair dancing and
Yeah.
see how it would be a serious discipline actually for someone who is trying to experience their body and their self-expression.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think first of all, you kind of have to like let go of everything that you may have heard or thought about chair, or lap dancing. I feel like that's where people automatically go. Just like when, I mean, my whole life, and there's nothing wrong with it. Shout out to, my exotic dance workers. But saying I'm a dancer and then automatically somebody being like, oh, so you're an exotic dancer. And I'm like,
Right.
there's nothing wrong with that, but no, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so I feel like with the chair and the lap dancing, it just, I feel like because it comes from an intimate place, I feel like some people, they just feel like that shouldn't be something you do outwardly or whatever. And I get that. I feel like maybe those people, just do it at home then. But the actual physicalities is what you're getting from it. You're getting the training of like being able to hold your own weight up when you're sitting on the edge of a chair
It's harder
and
than it
doing
looks.
something.
There have been times where I was like, oh, this is a whole ass workout.
and that's what I think I would stress the most about for people who are maybe coming into it with an already preconceived thought of what that would be like. Like, I already know I'm not going to enjoy it, or I already know that's not my thing. Like, just give it a beat, because, like I think it's a matter of, again, you relinquishing and letting go of what you think chair dancing and lap dancing is, and you opening yourself up to seeing that there's like strength in that there's physicality in that, there is a kind of a groundedness that you can feel when you're sitting in the chair. There's like, that sensuality aspect of it, especially for those who are searching for that kind of, whether it's a feminine energy or not, there's still like a sexiness that can come from the masculine energy in a chair. You know what I mean? So it's just like that, embodying that and like letting go of the judgment on yourself is I think would be the most important thing if you're coming to a class like that. Like, first of all, like, let that judgment go at the door.
Yeah.
I don't want to meet it.
Yeah.
I don't want it in my room. You know what I mean? Because I'm not judging any of you. So you shouldn't be looking at yourself being like, oh my God, I look cringe, or I'm weak. This is weak. Just embrace it, do it. And it's not supposed to look perfect, like we talked about earlier, circling back. It's not supposed to look perfect. No. You know what I mean? You're just supposed to feel it, enjoy it, embrace it, take it on as a challenge, as something new, as something different in your body, and then go from there, know?
Yeah. And it's I've noticed that especially in the male presenting people who come to class. I could see how, because you have people, switch and have like the female part sit down while the men,
do their
dance and do their thing. And I've actually seen the growth of some men who have come in, or, who do the male part. And
just from the start of class,
just from the start to the end, because it's like, at first it's like they're cardboard and they're, and but then
they're
like
still trying to be manly with it. They're like, wait, I don't know what I'm trying to magic Mike, but I don't want to look,
Yeah, but I can't move my hips too much.
Right.
Like, boy, move your hips.
You better move them things.
But that's a great thing to know, that for all people, right?
Yeah,
it's not just like the feminine or the masculine. It's like, there's a way for you to present yourself and to like express yourself no matter where you're at. And I think that's really beautiful.
And I think it's fun for everybody too, especially like nowadays. Like, let's just like embrace the energy, whether it's feminine, masculine, or something in between. Just like this is movement. And I think if you can love yourself enough just to explore the movement, and then again, just leave the judgment out of it, you might be surprised.
Yeah.
I have lots of people, like I said, from the beginning and end to class, where I'm like, okay, he was like, when I first, I could just see it on the face, like, oh God, do I have time to leave? Like, no, sir, you are locked in. I can see you now. I can see you. And by the end, doing the magic Mike humps across, or the worm, and I'm like, okay, so you locked in. And it just, I think it also, I'm always a fan of, the saying, it's not what you're learning all the time, it's whom you're learning from. That can make all the difference.
I mean, it's true.
Creating a safe space, comfortability. You know me, I'm a comedy queen. I will give you a whole stand-up routine. And at the same time as giving you an 8 count.
It's true.
Keep you on your toes, keep your abs working. You know what I mean? And that's my personality. That's just who I am.
Yeah.
So I feel like I have to use that, obviously.
But it helps the walls come down, right?
Yeah.
And I can contest I'm always laughing in your class, which is awesome.
Fair enough.
Why I keep coming.
Again, did not even pay her to say that.
No, you didn't. But so there's probably one person or a couple of people who are still listening to this and being like, I'm not sexy enough. I can't do that. I don't,
Right.
What would you say to them and like how that it could translate outside of the dance class or what it benefit it could give?
I mean, I definitely love to tell my clients who are having trouble connecting the two together to, like, if it's hard for you in our dance lesson for you to look in the mirror and see something that's sexy to you, like, just for now, almost kind of what I was just saying, like, take yourself out of it. And I've even had my clients come up with a whole different persona, like a name, what do they do for a living, where do they like to go party, what, and so, like, I had one client, her name was Jenny. And I mean, her name was Jennyana. We called her Jennyana, just like, or Jennyance.
Oh, I like that.
Just because it gave her that confidence of where it's like, now you're looking in the mirror, you can't judge that because that's not you. This is a character, just like as an actor.
Yeah.
I would never really say no to, like, a part because I'm like that. I'm portraying a character. I'm not gonna go out and shoot up the bank. You know what I mean? Like, that's not me. But if that's what I'm playing, then that's what I'm playing. Because I'm not judging myself based on words that are written for a character. So it's the same thing with dance and movement. I feel like it's like, how are you don't judge yourself based on movement that's given to you that you are learning and trying to receive. Like, be Jennyance, be Kylieance, you know what I mean? And like, just take yourself out of it, because then it becomes easier to watch yourself in the mirror and not think, oh my God, like I look, or whatever you're, thinking, because you know that you're portraying a character.
Yeah.
So I would say, pick your player. I always, you know what I mean? At the beginning of the video games, like, pick your player, like, pick something, get an intent, a character, leave yourself out of the equation. And if that means you have to go as far as to make up a whole persona, then do it. When you step into dance classes, you're that person. And give it a try. Yes, it's a mind thing, but like, if you start small, start in familiar, safe spaces, start with people who support you and that see that you need that support,
right?
And go from there. I have a few clients that will do privates with me, and they have just graduated to, like, taking group classes because they know at least when they walk in, I'm going to be there. Right. And we've been working together for months. So even if there's the cattiness going around them, or there's a lot of groups clicking and talking and you don't know anybody, you know me.
Yeah.
So I say, find that person,
And that's what's so beautiful about Spicy Moves, is that you get to bring a friend for free.
And you get to bring a friend.
Look at that.
So you come with the comfort, and then you find the comfort within me and my shenanigans, and I'll shenan once and twice and again.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
Don't you worry. And then it becomes, by the end of the hour, 2 hours, it's like, oh, wow, like, I'm actually feeling more free and more, like, at peace with this movement and myself and how I feel. And I think it's really fun to see.
I would love for you to kind of expand on that as we start to come to a close. Like, what do you see, or what do you feel that people get after leaving Spicy Moves?
Yeah, you did mention that, like, taking out, outside of I feel like a lot of people, again, I work with, even if they just walk out of here with a little bit more of like a that's all I really care about. But I love, like, the connections that I see, Even in one of the classes, like two people that did not come together, I saw them like outside talking after class. Like that happens all the time in my classes, my group classes. Friendships form. I think the confidence goes up a bit, and I think that like that leads itself into other areas of your life. Like, you know what I mean? You just you can even you walk into Bank of America better. Like you just walk in being like, you know what, I'm gonna deposit this check. Like it's just a small different like zhuzh about you. It's like, because you know what you were in that room just doing and what you accomplished. So when you leave that studio feeling like, you know, dang, like I just did something, you know, even if it wasn't your best class. I always tell my clients, like, you got something from it. Yeah. Even if you struggled through every single part of it, you struggled through every single part of it. Yeah. So you might not clock it right now, what it is that you got from it, but you trust me, you got something from it, you know? Yeah. So I feel like tenacity in that, in like that world, in the dance world, kind of does lead itself into other areas of your life. But at the most part, I just want you to walk, you know, everywhere you go, everybody feeling like a baddie that they are. Yes. So.
And, you know, I can, like, put a little bit without getting explicit at all, but my boyfriend came at one. I could say intimacy has gotten better also. Really? Because he's, like, I think there's just, you know, especially with men, in my opinion, it's, like, hard for them to express themselves. Right. And it was really cool to just like see his walls drop and like, you know, and it did translate very well. And that's why it's in the marketing, guys.
I freaking love that. You heard she said it translated. We know what that translation was looking like. I mean. So I'm just saying, it's a beautiful thing without TMI, but it's a beautiful thing to hear that. No, for me, somebody that's teaching it, I'm like, oh, yes, this is helping.
Yeah, it does.
And not to say that it wasn't great before, but girl, you could, partner, let me upgrade.
Hey, upgrade's fine with me.
So, love that.
And so, is there anything that I might have forgotten about or didn't mention that you would like to speak on before we close everything up?
I mean, no, really. I think we covered a lot of it. I just feel like if you are, you know, struggling with like confidence, self-esteem, intimacy, shame coming from past trauma with movement dance, or just, you know, any kind of like past sexual history that might trigger, you know, just I would invite you to, like, again, find a safe space. And I would love for it to be with me. So if you're in LA, you know what to do. Yes. But even if it's in your own hometown or whatever, just like finding that safe space that you can start small, you know, even if it's just like, I'm going to take a few little like online things, or I'm going to, you know, go to a beginner's, you know, movement or sensuality, spicy moves class, you know, something that like won't be a lot of crazy energy and pressure to where you're going to be intimidated, and you can go in, you can feel comfy. I would say find those spaces and just take a chance on yourself. Let the judgment go, release that, know that you are enough and that everybody deserves to feel sexy. I've gotten that before. Well, I'm not sexy. The fuck you are? Yeah. Oh, can I swear? Sorry.
No, I mean, I did. So
okay, good. And I will argue every woman and like any person, honestly, also, down to the ground. Everybody has it in them.
Every single person.
Own that and just, you know, keep growing and evolving and finding spaces for you to flourish and not like be stifled in that. You know, and if that's with spicy moves at Kama, then I think, you know, you should come on through. Yes. Oh, and then the last thing I always say is namaste and namaste.
Namaste.
And I'm going to trademark that shit, so don't even come for it.
You really should, I mean.
I know I am. So.
Well, thank you.
Thank you,
then
honey.
Also, for anyone who wants to join for the next Spicy Moves, it's on Tuesday, July 14th.
Yay, this Tuesday.
This Tuesday. Mm-hmm. So that's exciting. And then if not this Tuesday, then there's monthly classes.
Next month I'll be back.
Yes. So please come. Yay. I can contest.
Please come. Support businesses that are growing, you know what I mean? Support people that are trying to bring the community together in different ways, especially through arts and movement. I think Kama for, you know, this is like the fifth or like I've been doing a bunch of stuff with you and I love it every time. So all I can say is just like for people out there, especially on the West Side, but anybody in, you know, the area, like just come through, like look through what they offer, and like just come through when you can. Find something that makes sense to you and join, because you guys have a lot of great stuff popping.
And I didn't pay her to say that.
Hey,
either, so
the invoice is coming.
all right, thank you so much.
I love you. Do we hug, or does that happen on? I don't-